The private jet landed long after midnight, and the millionaire who stepped off it carried something heavier than luggage. For 6 months, Ethan Cole had been building deals across continents, sleeping in luxury hotels, and speaking in boardrooms where billion-dollar decisions were made with calm smiles and expensive pens. Yet on that cold night, something twisted inside him with an urgency he could not explain. No assistant knew he was coming home early. No family member expected him. Not even the nanny caring for his 7-year-old son had been warned. Ethan only knew that a strange unease had followed him across oceans, whispering that something at home needed him. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of love, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that sometimes the greatest treasures are not locked inside vaults, but hidden inside human hearts. Rain streaked the windows of the black car, carrying Ethan toward his estate. The mansion stood on a hill outside the city, surrounded by manicured gardens and iron gates tall enough to make strangers feel unwelcome. It had everything money could buy: marble halls, priceless paintings, and endless rooms. But for years it had lacked warmth. Ethan knew that truth better than anyone. 3 years earlier, his wife Lily had died after a sudden illness. Her death shattered the rhythm of the household and hollowed Ethan from the inside. Business became his refuge and his prison. He buried himself in meetings, acquisitions, and travel, convincing himself he was securing his son Noah's future while slowly disappearing from Noah's present. The boy had inherited Lily's gentle eyes and soft nature, but grief had made him quiet. Teachers described him as intelligent yet withdrawn. Therapists came and went. Nothing seemed to reach him. That was when Amelia entered their lives. She was not what Ethan expected when the agency recommended her. Amelia Hart was 28, modestly dressed, and carried herself with calm dignity rather than polished confidence. She had no glamorous background or elite references, only years of childcare experience and a sincerity that felt almost old-fashioned. Ethan hired her because he had run out of better ideas. Over time, something surprising happened. Noah began smiling again. Ethan noticed it during video calls from abroad. His son, who once answered questions with shrugs, now showed drawings and stories. His laughter returned in small bursts. Amelia sent updates about school projects, nature walks, and bedtime routines. She never overstepped or demanded praise. She simply cared. And still, Ethan remained distant. Part of him appreciated her. Another part resisted her presence. Perhaps because she occupied a space he himself had abandoned. Perhaps because her quiet influence reminded him of his own failures. The car rolled through the gates. The mansion should have been asleep, yet one upstairs light glowed softly. Ethan entered without alerting security. The foyer was silent except for the ticking grandfather clock Lily once loved. He loosened his tie and climbed the staircase, expecting to find Noah asleep and Amelia in her room. Halfway down the corridor, he stopped. A faint sound drifted toward him. Music. Not loud or modern, but gentle piano music. The sound came from Noah's room. A strange tension spread through Ethan's chest. His mind immediately formed dark possibilities. Wealth had taught him suspicion. Stories of betrayal, manipulation, and hidden motives followed men like him everywhere. Why was Amelia awake with Noah at this hour? Why had she not informed him of anything unusual? He moved closer. The bedroom door stood slightly open. What Ethan saw froze him. The nanny sat on the floor beside Noah's bed, surrounded by scattered papers, colored pencils, and photographs. His son was awake but peaceful, leaning against pillows while Amelia carefully stitched together pieces of fabric under the warm bedside lamp. For one alarming second, Ethan could not understand what he was seeing. Then, his gaze fell upon the fabric. They were Lily's dresses, his late wife's dresses. A shock of anger surged through him. Those dresses had been preserved untouched in storage since Lily's death. Ethan had forbidden anyone from moving them. They were sacred remnants of a life he still could not let go of. And now Amelia was cutting them apart. His first instinct was fury. Every nerve demanded confrontation. Yet something stopped him. Noah. The boy looked different, not frightened, not guilty, hopeful. Ethan remained hidden, listening. Thou no formal conversation unfolded. He watched Amelia guide Noah with patient tenderness. She helped him sort photographs of Lily and carefully sew small patches of fabric together. Noah's tiny hands worked clumsily, but Amelia encouraged him with gentle gestures. Then Ethan noticed tears on his son's cheeks. Not painful tears, healing ones. Confusion replaced anger. He pushed the door open. Both looked up in surprise. The room fell silent. Ethan's eyes locked on the fabric pieces. Amelia immediately stood, pale and startled. Guilt crossed her face, and for a moment she looked as though she expected dismissal. Ethan could barely control his voice as he demanded an explanation. Amelia lowered her eyes before speaking softly, and her explanation struck him harder than anger ever could. Weeks earlier, Noah had found one of Lily's scarves while searching storage boxes. Holding it triggered memories he had buried beneath silence. He confessed to Amelia that he feared forgetting his mother's voice, her scent, and the feeling of her presence. More painfully, he admitted believing his father had locked those memories away because remembering hurt too much. The boy had carried this fear alone. Amelia explained that Noah asked whether memories had to stay trapped inside boxes forever. So, together they created a project, not destruction. A memory quilt. Each piece of fabric came from dresses Noah personally chose after carefully reviewing Lily's belongings with Amelia's guidance. The finished quilt would hold patches linked to specific memories and photographs, something Noah could keep close instead of grieving from afar. Ethan looked toward the bed. There lay sketches of the quilt design, notes in Noah's uneven handwriting, and photographs of Lily smiling beneath summer sunlight. His anger collapsed under the unbearable weight of realization. He had mistaken healing for betrayal. Noah watched his father anxiously, searching his face for judgment, and Ethan suddenly saw what he had refused to see for years. His son had not only lost a mother, he had been slowly losing his father too. The room felt impossibly small. Amelia apologized for not asking permission first. She admitted, fearing Ethan might reject the idea before understanding Noah's emotional need. Her voice remained respectful, yet behind it lived quiet courage. Ethan could not answer immediately. Instead, his gaze wandered toward a photograph of Lily holding newborn Noah. Memories flooded him with painful clarity, the hospital room. Lily's laughter, promises made beside fragile happiness. He remembered, promising to protect their son. Somewhere along the way, he had confused financial security with emotional presence. That night became the beginning of something unexpected. Rather than reacting impulsively, Ethan sat beside Noah and listened. Truly listened. His son spoke hesitantly at first, then with growing honesty. He confessed missing his mother every day and feeling afraid to mention her, because sadness filled the house whenever her name surfaced. He admitted pretending to be stronger than he felt so he would not burden his father. Those words shattered Ethan. No business failure had ever humbled him so completely. The hours passed unnoticed. For the first time since Lily's death, father and son shared memories openly. They laughed over old photographs and cried over forgotten moments. Amelia remained nearby, never intruding, simply holding space for emotions long denied. When dawn arrived, Ethan noticed something remarkable. The mansion felt alive, not luxurious. Alive, he thanked Amelia awkwardly before leaving the room, but gratitude alone could not quiet the storm inside him. Over the following days, Ethan postponed international meetings and remained home. His executives were stunned. Investors grew impatient. Yet for once, corporate urgency no longer ruled his decisions. He joined Noah's morning routines. He attended school events. He learned small details he should have known years earlier. His son hated olives, loved astronomy, and secretly feared thunderstorms. And he observed Amelia more carefully. What he discovered unsettled him. She never sought recognition. She cooked when kitchen staff were absent. She helped elderly neighbors near the estate despite having no obligation to do so. She carried herself with quiet restraint shaped by private hardship. Curiosity led Ethan to review her employment file more thoroughly. That was when he learned the truth she had hidden. Amelia's younger brother suffered from a severe medical condition, requiring expensive treatment. Most of her income supported him. She worked long hours not for ambition but survival. Yet she never mentioned it, never asked for sympathy, and never leveraged hardship for advantage. The discovery filled Ethan with shame. He had judged her without understanding her sacrifices. One evening, he overheard Noah speaking with Amelia in the garden. Though Ethan could not hear every word, one sentence reached him clearly. Noah considered her family. The realization stirred complicated emotions. Not jealousy, grief, because Amelia had been providing the emotional safety Ethan himself failed to offer. Then another shock arrived. A rival executive contacted Ethan privately with disturbing information. An anonymous complaint had been filed against Amelia through a private agency, accusing her of manipulating wealthy employers for financial gain. The allegations threatened scandal and legal complications. Old instincts resurfaced immediately. Suspicion, protection, control. Ethan confronted the situation internally for 2 sleepless nights. Fear whispered that he had been naive. Yet something had changed in him. Instead of acting from distrust, he investigated carefully. The truth emerged quickly. The complaint was fabricated. Years earlier, Amelia had worked for another wealthy family whose patriarch attempted to exploit her vulnerability. When she refused and resigned, resentment followed. The same family had quietly spread damaging accusations ever since. Ethan sat alone in his office, staring at the evidence. He imagined how many times Amelia must have endured suspicion simply because she lacked power and wealth. That evening, he found her in the library helping Noah finish homework. She looked tired, carrying burdens she rarely revealed. Ethan apologized, not only for doubting her, for everything, for the coldness, the assumptions, the distance. Emotion flickered across Amelia's face, and though she accepted his words graciously, sadness lingered there, the sadness of someone accustomed to being misunderstood. Weeks later, the memory quilt was finished. The entire household gathered as Noah unfolded it across the living room floor. It was beautiful. Fragments of Lily's dresses blended with photographs, stitched symbols, and embroidered dates. One patch held tiny stars, representing Noah's favorite bedtime story. Another carried fabric from the dress Lily wore during their final family vacation. And sewn quietly near the corner were 2 words. Still here. The sight broke something open inside Ethan. His wife was gone, but love had not vanished. It had simply changed form. Before the story reaches its ending, there is a special request for everyone watching. Please comment with 1 word that reminds you of someone you love or miss. Your words may comfort someone else reading them. That evening, Ethan made a decision that surprised everyone, including himself. He established a charitable foundation in Lily's memory, supporting grieving children and caregivers struggling with medical expenses. Amelia helped shape its mission, drawing from experiences she never glorified. But the greatest change was not public. It was personal. The mansion no longer felt like a museum of sorrow. It became a home again. If this story has touched your heart so far, please like, share, comment, and support the channel. Your engagement helps stories of compassion and healing reach people who may need them most. Months later, Ethan returned home from a shorter business trip. No grand arrival, no secrecy, just home. He entered to find Noah wrapped in the memory quilt beside Amelia, both laughing over spilled paint during an art project. And for once, Ethan did not stand outside the moment. He stepped into it. Because the night he returned without warning, he believed he would uncover betrayal. Instead, he discovered something far more astonishing. A nanny had not been stealing from his family. She had been quietly helping save it. And sometimes life humbles us in the gentlest ways, showing that love rarely arrives with fanfare. Sometimes it sits quietly beside a grieving child, stitching broken memories together while waiting for wounded hearts to heal enough to see it.